Did Arkane Studios hit a wall after the first Dishonored success? Hmm. Well, the first Dishonored released in 2012, and it was hugely successful. And it's won like countless awards. I think it's like over 200 or something. And the interesting thing is that they released the second game 4 years later, and sales were down by up to 60%, which is staggering for a second release. So what went wrong? I think for one, the PC version was broken on release. So many people in forums complaining about it. People couldn't boot up the game. Game was freezing. Like so many bugs. So the PC version was absolute trash compared to what some people were saying. I played it on console, so I didn't have that experience. But I think where the company really went wrong is that the marketing for the game was awful. They released a trailer 2 years before the game came out, so in about 2014 there was a trailer for it. I watched it, and I think at the time I think I'd already beat the game, but you know I I'm not sure if I was super excited about it, and the, and yeah, I just didn't really feel like buying the game. Like the trailer looked cool and everything, but it didn't give me a reason to go and try to buy the game because after you beat the first game, it's like, all right, so Corvo, I guess you stopped down, you got Emily back, you defeated the loyalists, you did all that stuff, you took out all your enemies, you restored the throne, and it seemed like that was a natural end to the story because at the end, like it shows Corvo his grave, and I think Emily's at his grave, so it seemed like that was like the natural conclusion to the story. Um, and yeah, and watching the trailer for the second one was kind of like, what, Corvo's gotten Dishonored again? And then, I guess you kind of think, wait, didn't they end the first game? I thought Corvo was, kind of dead, I guess, but I guess this is before he died, so this is just a few years later, and he's been Dishonored again, and like, how did this happen? Like, this is so stupid. And the whole story kind of seemed kind of ridiculous because it's like, how does he make the same mistake again? And, I bought the game on release, but I wasn't going to do it because I had second thoughts about the story. Like how's this going to be different from the first game? Is there going to be any new mechanics? All those sort of questions. And yeah, it's just really, really, um, yeah, odd. Um, Also, I think the first game was divisive. People either loved the game or hated it. I've never seen really a divide as much as this. From a game. Like I always say, I read heaps of forums and like people were kind of cut up about it. And the most interesting comments were people who said that the game wasn't bad, but they just weren't interested in it. And that's pretty damning because I feel like a large part of people bought the game and it had like no real impact on them. So when the second trailer came around, people just weren't interested at all. So which is pretty crazy. Um, and yeah, like some of these numbers, you kind of feel like they got lucky with the first game because on the PC alone, the first game sold about 3 million copies, which is incredible. But with the second game, 2.5 million copies sold on all platforms. So we're talking Xbox, PS4, um, PC, like all those platforms. So that's crazy. Obviously, it's hard to get some of these sales numbers, but I think those are pretty accurate. And the last thing I want to mention is that Prey sold 1 million copies. So the company is slowly going downhill. So we have Dishonored, sold the most, then Dishonored 2, and then Prey. So the company's like, it's not really doing that well in terms of sales. Well, selling 1 million copies is pretty impressive for anybody, but the company hasn't been able to match the success it had in 2012, and that was like 8 years ago. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of years with the company, or really the next decade, because yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do next. It's pretty damning.